We are so glad that you joined us here this morning. The theme for the year of 2023 is Living Out Loud, and it's July, so we have a new theme, Speaking Truth to Circumstances. The title of our talk today is very interesting. It's Monsters, Inc. And I had a very brief discussion with Charlene about that title. So stay tuned. It's going to be very good and very interesting. We're so glad that you joined us here today. Please feel free to add to the chat or the comments any prayer concerns or celebrations that you would like us to include later in our service when we do our affirmative prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment. So once again, I love how my board is lighting up with all the participants, all the folks that are joining us. Once again, we are so glad that you took time out of your busy day to join us. So sit back, get comfortable as we officially kick things off with our welcoming video. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. And so it is. All right, folks. So you heard in our opening video that the third pillar is meditation. And I want to share just some thoughts about meditation. You know, we say it's our third pillar. Why is it so important? Why do we meditate? So meditation gives you the opportunity to go inside, to get to be in touch with your inner self. It shatters the illusion of separation from the divine one, the divine mind, the divine wisdom. Some people say that prayer is when we talk to God. And I like to say that meditation is when we listen. What does God need to say to you? What do you need to find within you? The answers are always within. Ernest Holmes said that meditation is communication that brings harmony into our lives, reinforces health and prosperity, and makes us lighter to all those who cross our path. It fills you with peace. So that's what I'm going to focus on today with our meditation. I'm just going to give you time to be quiet, perhaps look at the leaves on the screen, maybe listen to the music that comes in and the gongs. And I'm going to be very quiet during this, but as you go into your meditative state, begin by relaxing and begin by taking some deep breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, and exhale. And the title of our talk today is Speaking Truth to Circumstances. So as you go into your meditation, just think about how the answers, the truth lies within. You have all the answers inside you. So you might want to think about something that you're wrestling with right now, some challenge, some situation, some problem, or you can just sit in the stillness of peace. Meditation is when you listen to the voice within. I don't know about you, but boy, oh boy, it feels so good just to sit quietly, to put your life on pause, to stop the busyness, the noise that constantly surrounds us, to just take some time to go within and be still. All right, I could continue to do this, but we have Leah waiting to bring us some music. So we'll end our meditation, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, open your eyes, come back and join us. And let's go to Leah.
Good morning, everyone. This song, it's funny. We didn't converse in advance about which who would share what, and it's always perfect. I felt led to share the meditation on breathing by Sarah Dan Jones, and I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have heard it before. It's very simple. So when it becomes familiar, if you haven't heard, please sing along. breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. People get ready for that train. Good Jordan is picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is faith to hear those diesels humming. But don't bring no baggage, you just get on board. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
No, I want 10 more verses. That was amazing. I'm blown away by not only the talent, but the execution of it with all the technology. I'm just big fan. If there were heart emojis in my eyes, I know you can see them. Just lovely. Thank you. And thank you, Tamara, for that deepening meditation. It's all that stuff just went too fast for me. I would like to order a triple dose of all of those, but I think it's good. I think it's fine because it gives me, I'm looking at the clock. I've got like 25 minutes to talk to you guys, and I'm going to need every moment of it because I love the topic. I love the whole month's theme. We're talking about speaking truth to circumstance. Now, I know that you are hearing this in your head and going, isn't speak truth to power? Yes, typically the phrase is speak truth to power. But remember, power and truth, the highest version of both, are one and the same. There is no power outside of the divine. There is no power except sometimes we give away our power. So when we talk about speaking truth in Science of Mind, we changed it a little bit. It's speaking truth to our circumstances. Because as you know, Ernest Holmes taught and still continues to teach in all of the ways that he has throughout 100 years now, through us as practitioners, through us as people who just practice this teaching. There is no power outside of us. And the big illusion is that we are separate from the divine, and that the fear that we have when we think that we're separate from the divine could cause us to try to control circumstances, try to control other people, try to control. So when we are thinking of speaking truth, we don't have to speak truth to power because truth is power. What we have to do is focus on the fact that we are one with the divine, and that is the truth. And when we come from that truth, then we're coming from all the power in the universe. So there's a quote that Ernest said. Let me move to it. I have a slide with it, but you know, I don't want to open up, share the screen, show the quote. It's a short one. It says here in Science of Mind on page 183, it says, one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. If we are alone in consciousness with the infinite, so one with the divine that there feels like no separation, then that is a complete majority. Meaning with, I know in the Bible, there's a phrase, if God be for me, who can be against me? It's one of those, know who you are, and then as they say in the hood, can't nobody say nothing. Know who you are and what you got, bring it. Like that's the energy we raise up with. We sit down, we might have question marks, we might have a little concern, but once we know who we really are, we get up with a sense of, I got this. So the title of the talk, Monsters, Inc. You remember Sully and Mike, what is it, Wazowski? So I had to be reminded of the plot line. It's a Disney story, and the story is brilliant. I'll just remind you of the main points. In a world inhabited by monsters, the city of Monstropolis harnesses the screams of human children for energy. At the Monsters, Inc. factory, skilled monsters employed as scarers venture into the human world to scare children and harvest their screams through these doors that are portals to the children's bedroom. And of course, the child sees it as the closet door. And so the monsters in the closet are always scary to most children. And I love the premise here. I love this premise that in this world, in Monstropolis, monsters are not just figments of our imagination. No, it's an actual enterprise built upon harnessing the screams of children. So the jobs of these so-called monsters is to jump out and make them scream. And the higher the scream, the more power they get. And then Monstropolis can keep operating. But what's going on behind the scenes in Monstropolis is hilarious because we see it from the side of view of these so-called monsters. Guess what they're afraid of? They're afraid of children. They believe that their work is dangerous. Human children are believed to be toxic and capable of killing a monster simply by touching him. I love that twist, you guys, because of where this is going. So in Monstropolis, some of their energy production is starting to decline because children are becoming less easily scared. They're waking up. They're being taught who they really are. And so the monsters no longer have much power over the children, which means the children cannot power the monsters' city, Monstropolis. Okay. Now, this is all coming together pretty clearly if you're thinking about it the way I'm thinking about it. So I'll thread the needle in a minute. So the main character, Sully, is the top scarer at Monsters, Inc. And his new partner, Mike Wazowski, is eager to prove himself. One day, a human child called Boo accidentally enters into the monsters world through an unclosed door. She went into the closet, which is really a portal, and she ended up at Monstropolis and in the Monsters Incorporated. So Sully and Mike proceed to find ways to hide this child because everybody, if they saw a child in Monstropolis, it would create such fear. So they hid the child and went about the hijinks of trying to get the child back into her world through this portal. It was kind of funny. Now, along the way, here's what they found. They found that while they were trying to harness the screams of the little children and the fear of the little children in order to get their energy up, it turns out that the laughter of these little children spiked the energy so high that it made the screams dwarf in comparison. The laughter was more powerful and more power generating than any scream could ever have been. That's what they found out, which was the moral of the story. Now, you know why I love this story. Because when we think about speaking truth to so-called power, we're coming from a sense of separation. Little old me, am scared of that thing. And I'm going to force my way through the closet and I'm going to confront this thing and I'm going to speak truth to power. And I'm afraid, but that fear doesn't generate as much high level energy in our lives as does the power and the energy that we get when we're aligned with the divine. When we sit on that meditation cushion for however long we sit, and we make that movement from fear and separation and worry, doubt. And we travel not that far, because the way out is the way in. We travel those 12 inches from the head to the heart, and we remember who we really are. We resonate with that vibration of the divine. Ernest said, one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. We become aligned with the good that is. We become aligned with love, with joy, with harmony, and anything that our heart desires is right there in that moment. And the power that we then feel is magnitudes higher than the power that we may have felt out of our fear, whatever fear. And the other thing I love about this analogy is that you look at the other side of things. What are we really afraid of? It's possible that if that is a being or a circumstance, that not only does it hold no power over us more than what we give it, but if it's a person or an institution, they're probably just as afraid of us as we are of them. And I think about this. I think about Black Lives Matter, the movement. I think about when we say, speak truth to power, stand up. And when we do gather, I am sure that certain people who would love for Black people not to organize, not to talk to each other and get together and speak truth, I bet that puts fear somewhere. And I think, I look at that, I'm like, oh, okay. So some people like to stay in control of circumstances. And that sometimes is what we're speaking truth to. We're speaking truth to the circumstance or to those who want to be in control. And let me tell you, nothing gives a human more desire to be in control than a sense of fear. A sense of fear. And I want you to think about that. As a mom or dad, as a partner, as maybe a child of someone, what makes us afraid also makes us try to control. Oh, are you afraid of the daughter or son driving away in the car? Because you know that's a 2-ton vehicle with a 16-year-old, don't have too many brain cells yet. So the control might show up and say, oh, I'm going to need to put a tracker in the car. I'm guilty. Absolutely. I said, and sign here. This is the agreement. I had the fear, which caused me to try to control it. It worked out okay in my scenario, but sometimes trying to control something, trying to tighten one's grip on the thing out of fear, it just keeps us bound to it in a negative way. And so sometimes that energy will end up sucking the life out of a relationship, the lack of trust and the need to control because we're afraid. It could come down to the myriad negotiations. I don't know if it's a marriage and a prenup, maybe all the added subclauses, or purchasing a home, or deciding where to move to, or sometimes we can get analysis paralysis trying to control every little thing. And then we realize, okay, at some point, the fear has to give way to something higher. And then, funnily enough, when we sit down on that cushion and we take our fears within and we turn them over to something higher than ourselves, we find a way out of no way. We find a way to take the sense of fear and the need to control. We find a way to release that and just let our energy of what it is we want to experience, let that energy power the circumstance. Let it power our lives to where we're not so in the weeds, controlling every little thing as if we know everything. That's the trouble with control, isn't it? The trouble with control is that there are hidden pieces to the situation that we could never know. And that when we try to control, we could choke out our listening skills, choke out our ability to trust others, give others a way to step forward. A lot of times fear can make us do that. And a story from Dan Millman, The Peaceful Warrior, he talks about this and how fear can multiply what we're worried about, but then the ability to just go within can help us get clear. Now, this story is a little weird. I think it's a dream. It's an excerpt. So he is in an actual war. He's in a dream, I imagine, in a war. So imagine this. He says, I was crouched in the brush, 10 feet away. Facing my hiding place was a swordsman, over 7 feet tall. He reeked of sulfur. His head, even his forehead, was covered by ugly matted hair. His eyebrows, huge slashes on his face, on his twisted face. A painful grip on my arm tore me from the bushes. He flung me to the ground. Say farewell to your life, young fool, the giant growled. Suddenly, there were 6 of him. I tried to keep my eye on the original as I leapt to my feet. They began to chant deep in their bellies. It came from a low-pitched, horrible death rattle as they crept slowly toward me. This sounds terrifying. I would have been like, okay, that's it. I'm waking up. But nope. He goes on. The feeling came to me, he says, and I knew what I had to do. The giant, he says, represents the source of all your woes. He is your mind. He is the demon you must cut through. But he says, don't be deluded, keep your focus. All right, so then he's back to the story in the dream. He said, I lay down on my back and I closed my eyes as if surrendering to my fate, my sword in my hands. The illusion could fool my eyes, but not my ears. Only the real swordsman would make a sound as he walked. So I heard him behind me. He only had 2 choices. He could walk away or he could go forward. He chose to go forward. He said, and Dan says, I listened intently. Just as I sensed that he was about to cut me with his sword, he did his thing and I won't get into graphic details, but you imagine. And then the monster ended up thudding on top of him, face down, impaled. So he said, the story, he goes, I know it's a bit gruesome, but this story, he says, demonstrates the wise warrior's attention. That's the point I want to get to. The attention of your warrior here, in this case, going within, focusing on what was truly happening instead of letting his mind get distracted by all of the copies of it. There's only one real thing happening, and the others are illusions. And isn't that a great metaphor as well? As we keep ourselves up all night, worried about 5 or 6 things that could go wrong because the teenager is behind the 2-ton vehicle. And of course, as a mom who sent her, I allowed it. What are you going to do? I came up with things that could happen to him. These are the illusions that I don't need in my life. I don't need to think that stuff up. Why am I doing that to myself? A lot of us create our own monsters, don't we? We create scenarios that are so horrible and then run in fear from them, forgetting that those aren't real. Those aren't real at all. And we actually created them. Forgetting that we're the ones that created them, we then move forward. I forget who said it, but it was there are some terrible things that happened there are some terrible things in my life. Some of them actually happen. Our fear can create lots of terrible things in our minds. And I wonder if we're just trying to rehearse. I wonder, when we worry, when we play out the worst case scenario, are we trying to keep ourselves safe? I think we might be trying to keep ourselves safe. Maybe we're planning a good route because we want to avoid something that may hurt us. But again, it's kind of hubris. It's done with hubris, as if we can imagine everything possible. And if we could imagine everything possible, Why wouldn't we imagine all the good that's possible? Why is it so natural for us to go toward the fear? And I know someone said, because tigers, because evolution and tigers. And I buy that, I do, because if there's a tiger in the bush over there, I need to be concerned about that. I do, because my livelihood depends on not encountering the tiger in the bush. And it might also remind me as I whistle along the path, maybe don't whistle. Maybe keep an eye out for other tigers in the bush. Maybe have in the back of my mind, scanning any possible tigers, but I don't need that to be 100% of my focus. I don't even want it to be more than 10% of my focus. Sure, a nice sweep of the landscape, no tigers, we're clear. But I don't want to be that person that expects a tiger to be in every bush. I feel like now we're doing too much. You get my point? So fear, yes, it's a gift. It is useful. It keeps us alive. It is probably what allowed us to thrive so long as humans. But I don't feel that that's the highest place that we can come from. It would cause a person to be reluctant to make friends if we had a lot of fear. It would cause me to second guess every interaction I come in, every time I speak to you. Fear, after I'd be done speaking, would cause me to go away from this talk and say, oh, I should have said that, should have quoted that, didn't do it. I'm not sure that's helpful at all. And I feel as though many of us are waiting for others to make an effort to reach out and say hello, invite someone to lunch, or be a friend in general. Are there fears? Are we creating monsters out of others because we're afraid to be hurt? Are we protecting ourselves ahead of time, preempting the hurt that is going to come thereby? Let's not get into it, because then if I do make friends with her, then something might go wrong, and then we'll not be friends anymore. Or if I do get in a relationship, 50-50 chance it probably is not going to work out. So then I got to worry about splitting assets again. Or what if I fall in love? Oh, then I have to worry about heartbreak. So are we protecting ourselves and not enjoying all that life has for us because we want to be safe? I mean, I guess it worked at COVID times, social distancing, but are we still doing that? Are we still keeping ourselves safe? And I just want to challenge you. Is there a part of you that you would give more attention to? You would be a little more, pick one, loving, giving, kind, forgiving, generous. What would you be more of if you knew you had nothing to fear? If you knew that what you were afraid of was a figment of your imagination? What would you do? I'll let you think about that. What would you do if you knew that what you feared was a figment of your imagination? What if those so-called children are not dangerous if you touch them? What if those so-called monsters don't even exist? And if they do, they have a different purpose. I have a friend who had a dream, and she said that there was a monster chasing her, and she kept having this dream with this monster chasing her. And I don't know if she took the advice of someone or she just decided that's it. The next time she had the dream, she was running, and she decided to stop and turn around and say, what do you want? And then the monster said, well, I'm sorry. I was just told to give you a message. I'm sorry. And it was like it dissolved into this little kicking of the foot and oh shucks kind of little dude. Hilarious, and yet so telling about what it is we do. We create, or maybe we didn't create it. But I know me. I tend to run from stuff. I'd rather not look. Sure. Absolutely. What would it be like if I knew it would be fine, that I made up everything that I'm afraid of. In fact, I love being wrong. People don't believe me for some reason, but I love it when I'm wrong about something, especially the more I'm convinced that I'm right. I love it when I'm wrong, because then when I'm really afraid, I get to say, oh, maybe this is one of those times when I'm wrong. And then it's because I've been wrong before. It happened. So it's kind of neat. And it also helps me not take myself so seriously, because that's a drag. It just not relying or requiring other circumstances, anything outside of me, not requiring it to be any particular way. It's becoming a nice way to be, not requiring other people to show up a certain way, not needing outside situations to stack up just so, because that puts all of my agency into something outside myself. What if it's not just so? How am I going to be? And these are great questions for all of us. I just know that each of us has answers to these questions, and the answers percolate as we give time to them, as we sit with them. And when we encounter people and organizations that seem bigger and more powerful and scary, we may see something that has a need for control, and we can look back. The back of that need is usually fear, and work from there. Could this be a frightened little child? Could this be that they've made up a monster, and I represent the face of that monster that they're making up in their minds? You know, I'm walking down the street and there's a lady who sees a Black woman and she's scared. I'm like, what are we scared of? Oh, she's scared of me. I mean, it's funny, but maybe not so funny. People make monsters out of things all the time. I just don't want us to be one of those. And if we do it, not to punish ourselves, say, oh, there I go. And just allow that moment to pass. So my conclusion here is that everything that seems like it might be a monster, whether it's a person, an organization, or a circumstance, it's not as real as it appears to be. So if we look at that thing through the infinite mind, through divine intelligence, we'll see smoke and mirrors. Nothing is real and solid as it seems. And as we bring our energy to it, we have a big impact on how that situation turns out. One form might come and go, another form replaces it, but we know that if we're rooted in the spirit, we too have the ability to just free ourselves from the bondage of circumstance and into the freedom that has been promised. It's already done. Look at that. Time just literally flies. Let me check the chat really quick. Let's go within and just close, just knowing that all is well. Because the Buddha said, no one outside ourselves can rule us inwardly. When we know this, we become free. And that is in honor of July 4th. All right, let's go within. There's only one presence, one divine power that is known as God, as the one, whatever name we call it, this mother, father energy, this divine power that energizes all is in and through and as us. It does not stop before it gets to us. It is all through and around and in each and every one of us. And so with this knowingness, I know that we are unified in this divine mind. And with this power, with this energy, with this truth, we also have access to all that is wonderful, all that is abundant, all the love, all the peace, unlimited joy, whatever it is that our hearts can contain will never contain all that is available. It's always ever available and ever growing as we grow in our capacity to hold the energy of the divine. It always fills. And so I challenge each and every one of us to just allow ourselves, allow our hearts, allow our consciousness to just grow, to just bloat out, let it get bigger, because it's always filled up by the divine. And that means we look upon the world with eyes of compassion. Wherever there's not enough, a sense of not enoughness, we become a blessing to that situation. Whenever we watch the news and we see something terrible, we become the people who pray for that situation. Every terrible story is a call to prayer, because right where they are, God is, and it is revealing itself even now. And so I simply am grateful for this awareness, knowing that it is all unfolding perfectly in divine order at the right time, right here, right now. I release it, I let it go, and so it is. Ashe. All right, Leah, take it away.
So, a couple of things about this song. When I shared with Jacob that shard, that with the underpinning of this month's talk, or this week's talk, was Monsters Inc., Jacob, my 13-year-old, immediately suggested that I sing spooky, scary skeletons. And I decided against that very just wanted to put that into the space because, well, it was a very special suggestion. So this song is about exactly what you presented in your in the meditation, is us opening, expanding, holding ourselves, our hearts, our minds, our hands open, as opposed to closed in fear. So I'm gonna sing once so I can be sure that you hear what I'm singing. It's hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky as life flows out and in. Hold your hands, 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 hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky as life flows out and in. Hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky as life flows out and in. Hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky as life flows out and in. Life flows. Hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky as life flows out and in. Life flows. Hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky. Raise your life flows out and in. Life flows. Hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky. Raise your life flows out and in. Life flows. Hold your hands, hold your hands, hold your hands wide open. Raise your palms up to the sky as life flows out and in.
Holy cow. Oh my goodness. All right. First of all, Charlene, I can't wait to pearls after service because I think I filled up every single inch in my journal with notes. And Leah, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you once again. Your music was perfect. I'm curious about the skeleton song, but that last song is going to stick all day. All right, folks. Now is the time that we bless our donations that are shared with us today. At CSL Leesburg, you know we believe in the law of circulation, so we are a tithing community. The donations that are shared with our center bless everyone, those who give and those who receive. We keep the money circulating. It's all energy and we keep it flowing. So please look at our screen. There are so many ways to give. It's easy to find a way that works for you. And keep in mind that your donation helps our center, our home organization, as well as organizations that support our vision of helping to create a world that works for everyone. And we're always looking for suggestions. So if you have one, let us know. All right, no matter how you are giving, take that, put it over your heart. Join me in our blessing of our gifts. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And it's a monster-free zone. I want to add that. And it's time for announcements. And I'm going to make a prediction. I think there's going to be something about our Sunday lunch bunch, which is next week. Oh, did you see? Didn't even know that, guys, but I got my little sticky note right here. Sunday lunch bunch. It's next week. It's the second Sunday in July. So for those of you who are local, we're going to get together at Wegmans at the Village of Leesburg. You buy your lunch. You can pick out whatever you want, whatever looks good or whatever meets your dietary restrictions. You go upstairs to the dining area, look for us, and be prepared for a lot of fun, fellowship, laughter, and just meeting in person, which is so exciting. So that will be next Sunday at 1:30. We'll end up service, and then we'll motor on and we'll get to Leesburg. Join us if you can. If you can't, we're planning on having some kind of link so that we can still have you eat your lunch, or for Leah, your dinner, and join us. Yeah. All right. Like Charlene said, this could have gone on and on and on, but we know that you have busy days. So we will end, but just let me do that little reminder. I got my notebook all ready. I'm so ready to talk some more about monsters. If you can, please stay. We do what we call pearls, where we talk about the service, the music, the meditation, something that just inspires you. And we dig just a little deeper, and we kind of talk about other things sometimes too. We check in with each other. So if you can, please stay, hang out, join us. If you're on Facebook, hop over to our link. If you have to go about your day, because, it's summer and you might have things that you have to do today. If you do have to leave us, just know that we send you off with our blessing. But first, our closing affirmation. Are you ready? All right, guys, you know what I want. I want you to turn on your mic. So here we go. Join me. I am love.
I am love.
There you are. Good. All right, now look at someone in the room with you, someone on your screen, someone, because we're all connected, that just needs to receive this message, and send out the message. You are love.
You are love.
You are love.
I love it. I could even identify specific voices. Love that. Now put your hands up in the air. It's all love. It's all love.
All love.
Love. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay if you can. And if not, just know that we send you off with love and blessings, knowing that you will have a great day today.